Hey everybody, my name is Dave. I teach people how to play the saxophone. I'm in the Southern California area, and if you are in my zone, please reach out. Let's do a private lesson right here. davegoodsax@gmail.com is generally the best way to get me. I will get right back to you if you send me an email, davegoodsax@gmail.com, or hit me in the comments below, all right? 471 subscribers now, which blows my mind. And many of you have reached out with ideas for lessons, and that's where today's series of 3 lessons comes from. One of you reached out and said, Dave, you do all these, these video presentations for people who are beginners or perhaps maybe advanced beginners, but there's nothing for the advanced intermediate students. So I'm going to do that. That's going to be number 3 in the series, okay? Number 3 in the series is coming up. But today, I want to start out by talking to the beginner. Oh, I know. Back to the beginner. This is so important. Over the time I've been teaching saxophone, the general age of students who are coming to me has changed. And now, my studio is more than half adult learners. Probably 3/4 of my students are adult learners, perhaps just like you. For whatever reason, not a lot of kids are picking up the horn anymore or picking up any instrument at all anymore. I don't know why that is, and we don't have time to go into that here. I have watched, excuse me, I got to sneeze. We're in fall weather here, and we're in full bloom, colds, flu, all that stuff. So take care of yourself wherever you are. Anyway. And I know there are those of you who are sitting out there in Kansas right now going, fall in Southern California is still the banana belt. Yeah, you're right. Okay. But 45 degrees this morning is 45 degrees. Okay. Back to you. School program shrunk. COVID had a great impact on some of the school programs that are already sort of languishing. But I rent a studio a couple days a week at a music store near me, and their business is way down. Just about everybody's business has shrunken. Those who, in fact, depend on younger people to pick up horns. Well, it's turned around. Older people are picking up horns, and so this lesson is going to be for you. The adult learner who has bucket listed saxophone, or perhaps you played saxophone before, and then you went to college and had to put it away. You got out, you got a few bills, you had some kids, but now you're ready to get back to playing the horn. So the lesson number 1 here is for the adult student who is absolutely at the front door, beginning. Like what end do you put where do you put the mouthpiece? That kind of thing. So this is an alto sax, by the way. This is a Kahn alto sax, built in 1946, still in remarkably good shape. It's been well cared for through the years. And it's become my go-to alto sax, although I'm primarily a tenor sax player. Hardly matters. One saxophone fingers like all saxophones, okay? Soprano, baritone, tenor, alto, they all finger the same way. They have different issues, different playing issues, but that's not what we're going to talk about here. As the beginner, the first timer, and not someone who's, necessarily got, a little bit of a leg up on the skill set, but somebody who's really coming to this, and wants to play, I want you to do one thing for yourself, and that's go get a teacher. Not an online teacher, all right? Now, there are a lot of resources on YouTube, and here I am on YouTube, right? I'm not pinging on YouTube. There are a lot of resources on YouTube that are available to you that will show you how to put a reed on a mouthpiece and how to put a mouthpiece on the neck and all that stuff. They can't see you, though, and they can't hear you, all right? And they can't actually see how you've positioned the reed. There are a lot of mistakes to make. There are probably about 7 or 8 things that can go wrong and maybe one thing that can go right. So I want you to get a teacher. Get a teacher. Even if it's just for a month, do that for yourself, all right? You bucket listed this. You decided to get back to it. Hey, get yourself a teacher. Look around. There's one near you, I promise. Just find somebody that will sit with you or that you can sit with in studio who can observe you, listen to you, watch, check where you're putting the mouthpiece in your mouth. Yeah, that makes a big difference. A lot of us in the very beginning, we'll put the mouthpiece right up to this notch right here. That doesn't work. There's a sweet spot for the mouthpiece to be, and there are some things that only another person with experience can see you do. Why do I push the teacher aspect of this so hard this morning? Because I am self-taught and developed a number of habits that don't serve me. And to this day, I've been playing since I was just a short time, since I was 11 years old. And I still have habits that don't serve me. Somebody who can sit with you for a month or 2 months and just get you going, okay, will help you out. Now, what you need to do is you need to learn how to control the tone, the sound that's coming out of this beast. We're going to turn that sound into tone, all right? And there's two tools. The muscles around your mouth that, basically form the fancy French word called embouchure, which is, I think, translates to airtight seal. No biting, just a nice loose embouchure and plenty of air. The air comes up from, the bottom of your lungs all the way through. Just think about taking in lots of air, more than you ever have for anything in your life. I mean, when you're sitting in the Del Taco line ordering, that's not enough air. This is big air. Big air, like the kind of breath that you might take before you cannonball into the swimming pool. All right, like a big one like that. Yeah, and I know everybody says, don't move your shoulders. Oh my God, don't. Well, I just moved my shoulders. All right, I don't care how you do it. Just get air in. Fill up with air. And air support comes from the stomach muscles. Now, everybody calls that a diaphragm. People have no idea what a diaphragm is. We'll call that a diaphragm. They go, the diaphragm. You got to use the diaphragm, right? Use the diaphragm. Air support, diaphragm, air support. You hear that till you turn blue in the face. And people will not be able to explain that to you because they heard it, and then they heard it, and then they heard it, and they heard it. So that's how it goes. People pass along a lot of information. They don't really understand, but they heard it a million times. So I want you to just think about if somebody comes by and gives you a pink belly, they're going to hit like a drum, like the head of a drum here, and it's not going to hurt, right? Right? It's just like bam, like that. That's how you push that air back out again. Excuse me. You need to know air support to make those notes, and then we practice those. And again, once you get your teacher's going to have some ideas for you. But, in the meantime, while you're waiting to audition teachers, and make sure you get one that plays the way that, you want to play. That's important too. And somebody that you resonate with. Because going to lessons is expensive, and it's time consuming, but it's time and money well spent. So you're going to want to do something called long tones, which are, skill builders. And I do them to this day. Like I said, I've been playing since I was 11. I didn't discover long tones, by the way, till I got to high school to a jazz band. I didn't even know what jazz was till I got to high school. I played rock and roll all those years. Well, school band, but then rock and roll, and the long tone thing. What was that? And a kid in my high school jazz class named Hollis Gentry came over and punched me in the stomach. Bam! And I'll never forget that. And he said, he had a really deep voice at that time. He said, long tones, Dave. So I started playing long tones, and they really help build up your tone. They help you get control of the saxophone, and that's what you want. You want to control the saxophone, right? So that you can play songs. Now, scales are like the alphabet, okay? You have to know scales? Yeah, you gotta know scales. And I don't care what anybody tells you. Scales, it'd be like coming to me saying, Dave, I really want to write a short story, but I don't want to learn the alphabet. In order to play songs, you gotta, use some scale work to help learn the fingerings, the notes. You want to know what happens. What is that? When you press that down, what is that? What does that do? What does that do? What does that do? Ooh, what does that one do? I mean, you want to know what all of these things do. You want to be intimately familiar with everything that your horn does. All these little, when you press them down, what is that note? What is that dot on that page, and what does it represent on your saxophone, okay? So the next thing that I'm going to have you to do, this is 3. Number 1, get a teacher. Number 2, we're going to work on long tones, making notes last a couple of beats, all right? Beats, 2, 3, 4. Stop, 2, 3, 4. Play again, 2, 3, 4. I'm not warmed up, but I just got my mouthpiece out of the refrigerator. Here's an idea. Let's take G. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest. 2, 3, and on. You get the idea. Through the notes that you know that you can make sound pretty. If the note is El Stinko, stop. Don't play it. Don't go back to it. Don't learn how to play a note wrong. You can learn all these things in the wrong way as well. That's why I want you to go back to step 1. Get a teacher. A live one. Not a Zoom teacher. Somebody that can actually sit in the room and hear you and see you and observe all of the little minutiae that goes into making sounds, okay? So number 2, you're going to learn the notes on the saxophone, and quite often that's, via a scale. I don't mind any way that it takes you to learn those notes. You get yourself a good fingering chart or one of those really good, beginner books. There are so many of those out there. I'm not going to pitch any of those to you right now. But you find something and find, that will explain things, or your teacher will have a suggestion for you. All right, third thing, get a stand. A what? Yeah, get a stand. Set this thing on a stand, okay? you got to take your neck and your mouthpiece off and your reed and all that when you're done playing. But every day that you have designated as a play day, in the beginning it should be every day for a long time. Leave this thing out on the stand. Put it up at night, but leave it out on the stand so that when you walk by, you can pick it up and play for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. 5 or 10 or 15 minutes several times a day, okay? The last thing I want to have you to do, and this is the most profound and the quickest learning tool that I have discovered for my adult learners, is to go back to songs that you liked. There were songs that you grew up listening to that you liked a whole lot. I don't care if it's as simple as Somewhere Over the Rainbow or Happy Birthday. We're entering the holiday season here, so Christmas songs, anything like that. Stuff that you really like. Well, I can guarantee you that if you go to the music store near you, you will find stacks of books that have that sheet music for your E-flat alto sax or B-flat tenor sax or whatever sax you got. It will have that sheet music in there. And songs that that you already know how they sound, that are printed out on paper, you put the two of those together, and I'm telling you, you got a powerful learning tool there, right? I learned this years ago with a great guy who wanted to play clarinet badly, and he, came to it deep into his 70s, right? Great guy, retired professor, picked up the clarinet, always loved the clarinet. Came to me for a lesson or two, and he struggled for a year just to make notes. It was just like, I kind of gave up. I thought, I'm not sure why he's coming. Well, he seemed to enjoy coming, and even though he wasn't getting better at making notes, no matter what we tried, he still seemed to enjoy coming. Then one day, I put him on a song. I asked him, what would you listen to when you were a kid? He goes, Irish folk songs. He listened to Irish folk songs. So I got some Irish folk songs, and I think in whatever key, and he knew the songs. And that was it. He was able to take what notes he knew and figure out, oh, Danny Boy, and some of the other ones. And he took off, all right? Next thing I know, he's sitting in with a piano player. So that's the big finale to this lesson today, is learn everything playing songs that you know. You put it all together, how to make tone, how to turn sound into tone, right? What the notes do, what these flappers do when you push them down, what notes do they make, and how do they relate to dots on a page, otherwise called music, and then music that you know. And there are books. They probably reach, if you stack them, they probably reach the moon and back again for alto sax. Okay, they don't have to all be, boring, crazy, or things that just concert band things that that maybe you don't want to play. There are popular song books, and lots of them. And your teacher will have a recommendation for you. Okay, so listen, any questions? Hit me, davegoodsax@gmail.com. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Thank you all so much, those of you who have subscribed, and I will look forward to your comments in the comment section below. All right. Number 2 in the series is coming up. See you. Thanks for being here.